vacations. We need blue strips for all the time we spend waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid. I watch all of my people die. Why your people try to act like we commit crime? Get killed on TV, got our kids scared to go outside. It's time you pick a side. Before we turn this bitch up, Mr. President, better fall in line. Yeah, we don't need loans, we need what we owe. We need police to stop killing sisters inside their home. And when it happened and we burn this bitch down, they need to stop telling us we was wrong. Hey, and we need unity. We need the government to stop bringing drugs in our community. They better stop playing, we not the ones. You got guns and we got guns. We'll kill if you play with our funds. Yeah, how we supposed to restore when they don't give us more? When they got knees on our necks when we walk out the store? How we heal when they go to the park, kill a 12-year-old boy for killing, we ready for war. Yeah, and we need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spend waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid.
Peace, peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, AKA Mr. Just the Facts. Family, first and foremost, you already know what time it is. Hit that like button, share the video out, especially those of you who are watching on YouTube. Most of you already know how this goes. Our numbers on Twitter usually balloon up to about 500 listeners. So if you are listening on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel, click like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified every time Be The Power goes live. It drops its dynamic content. Shout out to the fam. I see BTP Riri is in the building. BTP Isla is on deck. Shout out to the Be The Power fam. Shout out to United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. Shout out to the Freedmen Conscious family across the country. Shout out to the whole reparationist grassroots. Shutter Speedy Gaming is in the building. Theron C is in the building. You can support the platform by using Cash App. What's going on? Our proxy BTP member, Brother Dre, is in the building. Shout out to the fam. Support $ Be The Power Cash App. You can send a super chat. You can go to our websites, usadof.org, and make a contribution to our 501c3. We are working for our people. Go to our other website, BeThePower.org. Look at our link, Men at the Head. We have a powerful link on the Be The Power website called Men at the Head. And, you know, what we're highlighting and stressing is that men take their place in the political affairs of our people. And for the longest, we've been boxed out of that very thing. We've been boxed out of it. And America is starting to see that this will no longer be tolerated. This will no longer be tolerated. And we see with Barack Obama coming out and doing what he did right before Kamala released her plan. Right? It's like, oh man, they stepping all over each other. Jim Crow Joe Biden's dementia is either kicking in or he's intentionally stepping all over Kamala's stuff. I don't know what's going on, but it is what it is, man. We are not having it anymore. Our men are waking up all over the country. Shout out to our sisters across the country who have stepped up in this time as well, because when, you know, they put these surrogates, and I'm going to play a video from Sunny Hostin off The View disparaging our men. She names all of these other people. But when it comes to us, we are the ridiculous, crazy black men that voted for Trump. Like, you know, that's a ridiculous and crazy thing to say about a part of your voting bloc. If you're trying to sway them back over to your side, you don't call them that. That's like Hillary Clinton using the term deplorables when you're trying to peel off some of those people that are right but may lean centrist or moderate. It just makes no sense. And this is what's going on, man. Shout out to our brother Iron Physique. Keenan Wright said BAP to the chat. Let me see. And for those of you who are in the New England area, man, please pull up at our event that we're having. We're going to be debating Narcan and Cobra, or in Cobra, on Saturday, this Saturday, October 19th, hosted by United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen in conjunction with, several other grassroots organizations from Boston. Boston's Reparations Task Force will be on hand as well. Just a good, friendly debate. Just freedman status versus Pan-African ideology. Who is eligible for reparations for the legacy of American slavery? That will be the debate topic. And y'all already know, for us, this stuff is a layup, man. We do this in our sleep. We do this in our sleep, fam. So, but it'll be edifying for the community. So if you are in the New England area, pop out. Come holler at your brother, man. Come shake hands and know that is real in the flesh. It's real in the flesh over here. So yeah, man, come through. We're going to show and prove. So tonight we're gonna examine some of Kamala Harris's plan, her pitch to black men. And I'm not gonna do as deep a dive as I usually do, but I'm going to touch on some things because, when you've been doing this for the past several years, like we have, you're able to see the play. You're able to flesh out the nonsense in a lot of this stuff, because the fact of the matter is, you can't do policies strictly for black men. You just can't do it. And this was one of the things that we've been highlighting at United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, and that Be the Power on this platform for the past 5 years. You cannot do black specific legislation. What you can do is status specific legislation. So when you do something specifically for Native Americans, they have a specific status in this country. And therefore, if one was to challenge, then, well, that status and their standing in this society is going to be examined by the court. We've seen that last year with this white couple trying to adopt the Indian children. It's like, forget other Indian parents. We want to adopt you little redlings ourselves. We don't care about the fact that there's other people of your culture that want you. And you're saying no. So we're going to sue you so that we can just bypass other Indian white people crazy. Bypass other Indian parents, and we're going to, take these children in and raise them the good old white American way. And the Supreme Court dismissed the case and said that these people didn't even have standing to sue. When you understand that in the way that we understand it, which is why we've been trying to teach this, the status aspect for our class, because that's what the Native Americans represent in this country as well. They represent a specific class of people in this society. But then you understand what the remedy looks like. And we've broken it down, time after time after time. So I think that some people are starting to get it. And, ultimately they'll start moving back toward the center of that as we go along. So I think I want to start by playing Sonny Hostin's comment before we get into reading from Kamala's plan. Let's play this real quick.
We can't poll people's hearts, and we can't see into people's hearts. And so when we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. I don't know what their hearts look like, but I know what their votes look like.
But I'm not talking, I'm not.
So you see, when she named everybody else, Cubans in Miami, white women, etc., they're just regular. They're just, but black men that voted for Trump were ridiculous and crazy. And she said that with her whole chest. So this shaming of, they don't know how to go off script. Obama talking to those young brothers at that college, that is textbook Democratic Party. Finger wag at them. I did a whole thread 2 years ago exposing Barack Obama. That thread went kind of viral in the many ways that it's been documented, New York Times, etc., how he shames our men. Talking about 8-pound gold chain. Nobody in college is wearing 8-pound gold chains or thinking about, how they're going to get iced out when they get their baccalaureates or their masters and whatever. It's like nobody's thinking that way. Why are you having that conversation with those types of men? It makes absolutely no sense at all. So let's dig into this document of Kamala Harris, because she's trying to appeal to our men, and we're witnessing this conflict of messaging coming from the Democrats. Either you want to help us or you want to curse us out. Which one is it? Because what you're doing is you're appealing. You are Trump and Vance and the Republicans. They don't really have to do anything. You are peeling off the votes yourself by consistently attacking our men. Election cycle after election cycle, you have these sissified surrogates on X/Twitter who are going crazy, man. These little weird dudes sound like they popping veins in their foreheads, screaming into their phones, "I hate you, niggers. I hate you." Like, these is other black men saying this, other black men, because they're not going to vote for Kamala the chameleon. I mean, you can't blame them. People want to vote for their interests. And so we have an 11th hour plan by Kamala Harris, supposedly designed to help our people. So let's get into that. Let me make sure you all can see that. Okay, cool. Do I need to blow this up some more? Make sure y'all can see it. Again, family, hit that like button. Share the video out. Let people know that we're having a conversation about this. We're having a conversation about this. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's good enough. That's good enough. Peace, Jabir, you, and shout out to the Freedman family all across the country. All right, let's get into this. Okay. Vice President Harris will deliver for black men. She will provide the tools to black men to build wealth, support their families, and lead in their communities. Vice President Harris will build an opportunity economy. Every time I hear that, it's just funny to me. Vice President Harris will build an opportunity economy where everyone has the opportunity to not just get by, but to get ahead. And people are screaming, and rightfully so, this one response to Kamala Harris's plans. Why haven't you done this already? And the excuse that some are giving is that, well, she wasn't the president. Well, we can clearly see that Jim Crow Joe Biden has dementia. He can't possibly be running the country right now if he stepped down and had Kamala come in and replace him in an undemocratic way. And I don't mean the party, I'm talking about the election process, the democracy aspect of this republic. Nevertheless, what we do see is, we see pushback, and rightfully so. Like, why haven't these things been implemented the whole time? You could have, as vice president, fought for these things. You could have pushed Jim Crow Joe Biden, who said, Black Americans, you have my back and I got your back. Instead, we lead in evictions, et cetera. And we're going to get into some of that as we move along. So let's read. She knows that black men have long felt that too often their voice in our political process has gone unheard and that there is so much untapped ambition and leadership within the Black male community. If she has known this, then the moment she started on the campaign trail, the moment she would have said, Black men, we hear your voices. I mean, a bunch of Black men got together and helped raise money for Kamala. What was it? Black Men for Kamala? They raised a lot of money. I didn't hear her say a thing about what she do. Forget just, our men, our people in general. I didn't hear one thing. One thing. Continue. Black men and boys deserve a president who will provide the opportunity to unleash this talent and potential by removing historic barriers to wealth creation, education, employment, earnings, health, and improving the criminal justice system. Black men deserve a president who will deliver on promises and equip them with the tools and resources to make their aspirations a reality. Again, we have to call into question Kamala's tenure in office as vice president. Vice president means you're the second most powerful person in the country, and by some aspects, the second most powerful person in the world. I'm just saying, why weren't you pushing the administration to do these things? If you knew these things already, where is your record? Where's your record from California to the Senate trying to fix and remedy these things that you know? Where are you speaking to these things at on the House floor, on the Senate floor, et cetera, et cetera? Where is the policy prescriptions? We've seen none of that. This is an 11th hour attempt to try to heal the consistent wounds that are being delivered by surrogates like former President Barack Obama, sissified male, or what I call sassy male Twitter, people like Sonny Houston that I just played from The View, and all of these people that are disrespecting our men who still vote at the second largest clip for the Democratic Party than anybody else. It's just the weirdest thing. We have to point our fingers at somebody. Let's point them at Black men. We have been beating them down for so long. Let's keep that going. But our men are waking up, and that awakening started to happen, especially when brothers like Be the Power entered into this space and helped spread that message to those in conscious circles and among our peers, our friends, and our family. And we're starting to see content creators pick up on this rising of our men taking our rightful place, not just in our political affairs, but in the affairs of our families. And we have to give a shout out to our men right now for standing up, and a shout out to our sisters that are supporting our men and that are speaking out, using their voices to speak up. We salute you all. We salute you all. So let's continue. It says this year, Vice President Harris launched the first of its kind nationwide economic opportunity tour to help entrepreneurs access the capital and resources they need to launch and grow their businesses, build wealth, and strengthen their communities, especially Black male entrepreneurs. Now, where's the data? Like, see, they have hyperlinks in this PDF to certain things that they want to highlight, but there are other things we have to guess, or they are left to our imagination. Where is the data that shows that Black male entrepreneurs, particularly American freedmen, not Black immigrant males who have been given a leg up in this country? And I know because I've talked to people of Black immigrant stock, and they have told me what the government has done for their families, not them. I'm talking about the American freedmen, those of us whose ancestors go back to the slave labor camps in this country. Where is the data that shows that this nationwide economic opportunity tour where there has been this access for freedmen entrepreneurs, this access to capital and resources have helped them and their communities, because I don't see it in the South. And I travel between Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. I just don't see it. I was in Boston in the beginning of the year. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. No, that wasn't, yeah, I guess that was around the beginning of the year. I didn't see it. All of the stores in Boston, not one of them were freedmen owned, save one bookstore. And that was it. It's one bookstore. All of the restaurants that were black owned were foreign black owned, Cape Verdean, Ethiopian, etc., etc. This is the reality. Like, we have to, this is why this movement is so important. This movement that we have go, and we have to keep beating this drum. We have to keep beating this drum. Again, real quick, for those of you who are watching on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel, click like, click subscribe, etc., etc., etc. All right, let me try to get through this. I'm trying not to give so much commentary, but it requires commentary because we don't know what this looks like. This is just words on paper that the surrogates that really have are the content creators that get nothing for doing this other than they're voting to protect maybe a lifestyle, etc. They're not voting because they want to see black men get built up or our families get built up. For many of them, they have abandoned that ideal of strong black men or building up strong black, or as I should say, freedmen families. They've abandoned those ideals, and for them, it's just about voting along party lines. Forget what the rest of us want. Forget what the rest of us want. That's not how you do politics. It's not how politics works. It says, while traveling across the country to cities like Atlanta, Detroit, and Charlotte, she heard powerful stories from black men about the biggest hurdles that still make it too difficult for them to get their businesses off the ground. I highlight that part because where was Biden at? You mean to tell me that in the 3 years before you started your campaign, Kamala, you didn't know about the struggles? Because in the prior paragraphs, you know about these struggles. You didn't need to hear this in cities like Atlanta, Detroit, and Charlotte, that our men were struggling to get our businesses off the ground. This is something that you know, and this is something that you should have put into effect policy-wise from the time you got into office. You should have said, I'm going to help black people because I might need them come next election. But we know that the Democratic Party has a benign neglect policy when it could let them yell, let them complain if they need to loot a little bit. Yeah, whatever. But do not make any promises to them. And what this is just empty rhetoric. It's highlighting some of the issues, but we're going to get through it and we're going to see if there's some things in here that could be helpful, and see if, if this is just fluff. It continues, drawing on insights from her experience throughout her career and her economic opportunity tour. Today, Vice President, her experience, you've been in there for 4 years. Today, Vice President Harris is laying out an opportunity agenda for black men to provide them with the tools to achieve financial freedom, lower costs to better provide for themselves and their families, and protect their rights. This path-breaking agenda includes: 1, providing 1 million loans that are fully forgivable to black entrepreneurs and others to start a business. When they're drafting up policy for everybody else or policy proposals, they never say providing 1 million loans that are fully forgivable to American citizens and black entrepreneurs to start a business. They don't do that. I'm not going to say I'm only going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. But when it comes to helping other people, and we see that when it comes to trans rights, if that's what they're calling it, then she's all in. She brags about how she helped I think, pass some type of measure to get trans men, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong on this, reassignment surgery while they're in prison. That if illegal immigrants, illegal aliens come over into this country and they want reassignment surgery, if I'm saying the correct term, they, want to transition from a man to a woman or a woman to a man, then, surgically, that is, then, she believes that the government should pay for that. She said that out of her own mouth. I'm just saying, when it comes to everybody else, there is this specificity, and you don't say "and Black people" when you make those types of proposals or even implement those types of proposals. You just do it. So this loaded language lets us know exactly what it is. It's fluff. Number 2, championing education, training, and mentorship programs that help Black men get good paying jobs in high demand industries and lead their communities, including pathways to become teachers. Now, one of the things that I harp on as I travel through the South is that at every construction site, every single construction site, from Georgia to South Carolina to North Carolina, I've seen nothing but almost 90% Mexican crews. Almost all Mexican crews. All Mexican crews. Shout out to our brother Truth the Power for becoming a new member on the channel. Again, if you want to join the channel to show your support, click join the channel. Again, we're trying to grow this channel. We feel that we have a unique perspective, and we want to share that unique perspective with the world. We can't let politicians dupe us as we step up on this particular political upward mobility ladder and becoming the power. Hence the name of the channel, Be the Power. We must become the elected officials. We must run for office. We must become political organizers. We must become political operatives. And that's what this channel over the past several years have been building up. We started off with education, and that's what you're seeing here, us giving a breakdown of these fluffy policies that will not be implemented. Because if you know anything about what's going on with the Supreme Court case of last June of 2023, you cannot do any race-based policies. And the Fearless Fund, which is the most high profile of cases where a Black venture capitalist firm out of, I believe, Atlanta was shut down. It was shut down because you cannot, they were sued. You cannot do race-based policies. The same thing is happening with the Evanston, Illinois reparations program. That too will be shut down. And it is our hopes that people will finally listen to what we've been saying for the past several years when we came into space saying you can't do race-based policies. Anyway, let's get through this thing. Let's get through it. Okay. Do I need to break that down? When I say mentorship programs, I thought of my brother's keeper, Barack Obama's program. They already have set people in place. These would be the people that would get the contracts. Roland Martin finally landing the Kamala interview. I haven't watched it yet. I can imagine that it was nothing but softball after softball after softball. But this is what it is. We're going to set it up so that our people and legacy organizations, and we're going to highlight that in this stream, that they get in the position, the same Boule buffer class gatekeepers that tell us that we're wrong. Roland Martin calls us stupid asses while ducking the debate smoke. He'll debate like those right-wing guys that don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? But he won't debate us. He blocks us. He blocks a brother Marcel. He just blocked me recently. Why? Because he knows that when it comes to this particular topic, we're gonna smoke him, and he doesn't want to look bad on his own platform, because we're the people he's been calling stupid asses for the past several years. So how can these stupid asses possibly defeat you in the debate? So to avoid that, he avoids us. Anyway, this one was crazy. Supporting a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency and other digital assets so Black men who invest in and own these assets are protected. Kamala probably wrote this line herself. What does this mean? What does this even mean? Supporting a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency and other digital assets so Black men who invest in and own these assets are protected. What she's really saying is, I'm copying more of Donald Trump's talking points, because Trump stood in front of all of the heads of the cryptocurrency world at some convention a few months back, and this is what he promised. He promised these regulatory frameworks and all of these different things, and loosening up some of what the Democrats are trying to constrict when it comes to cryptocurrencies, et cetera, et cetera. And that's it. This isn't something that, how many Black men invest in, and I'm talking about American freedmen. I am talking about my people, not people that migrated over here and was given a hand up by this government. How many of them are invested in and own cryptocurrency assets? How many cryptocurrencies has an American freedman started? Somebody put that in the chat for me and let me know if you know of an American freedman that has started a cryptocurrency, a crypto coin. Shout out to Jabir, you becoming a new channel member. Shout out to the fam, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Shout out to our sister Gina Bourne for becoming a new member of the Be the Power YouTube channel. Join the movement, fam. We're not gonna stop. We're gonna keep going. We are going to keep going. We're going to keep building up this platform. What's going on, brother Reg Rock? Another member of our Be the Power YouTube channel. Shout out to any of the members that I may have missed on the channel, and just shout out for everybody that's tuning in. We got 170 live watchers right now. Most of you are on Twitter. Come on over to the Be the Power YouTube page so that you can click like on the video and share this video out. I'm trying to grow. I know YouTube has been censoring a lot of content creators. They are a part of the machine, and that's a fact. And I know Elon is trying to do his thing with X. I am no fan of Elon's at all, but his platform seems to be more flexible than YouTube, and I think that's the way he's trying to integrate X so that it can have that YouTube type video integration. So, I look forward to seeing how that plays out. But anyway, number 4, launching a national health equity initiative focused on Black men that addresses sickle cell disease, diabetes, mental health, prostate cancer, and other challenges that disproportionately impact them. I'm confused as I look at some of this stuff. One of the things that we highlight on our Be the Power, on our website is, we highlight the impact of the medical industry when it comes particularly to our women. But a new study came out last year that said Black men, elderly Black men especially, I think are 5 times more likely to die in surgery than white men and other groups, right? So, when I see stuff like this, I can say, I don't mind when I see stuff like that addresses sickle cell disease. I'm instantly thinking about our sister Sheree Peoples, and if the people that helped her put this together, who know Sheree Peoples' story, was like, let's throw sickle cell disease in there because of the Sheree Peoples incident, and then that'll give people an argument to say, well, yeah, that sister was done wrong by the office of Kamala Harris's prosecutors, and her daughter had sickle cell disease. But if we throw this in there, we can say, but look, Kamala is if you vote for her, she's going to support this new medical or national health equity initiative. This should have happened when Jim Crow Joe Biden came. This should have been first 100-day signings. I mean, we can't. This is the 11th hour. Yeah, we have ignored you for so long, but let's give $2 billion to the black farmers after they were sued and the Biden administration ignored them for years. That brother Boyd, while he cautiously praised the administration, and I might get into some of that as well. It was like, yeah, but how many years have gone by? We're in a hole, and you just gave us a Band-Aid. Or as Malcolm would say, you pulled the 9-inch knife out, I'll modify it. Only 3 inches. 6 inches of the knife is still plunged in our backs. Just saying. Okay, number 5, legalizing recreational marijuana. You gonna do that for us, Kamala? Because you did smoke when you was in college listening to Tupac, who wasn't out at the time. But anyway, you're gonna legalize recreational marijuana and create opportunities for Black Americans to succeed in this new industry. Family, when the medical marijuana field first opened up, report after report after report came out speaking to how our people were underrepresented in this field. There were these rich brothers from Harvard. There's 6 of them. They got together. They probably used their trust fund money, and these people, I don't even know if they ever even sold an illegal substance in their life, but they got together and they started a medical marijuana dispensary. They became, man, they blew up. These 6, I think they were brothers. All 6 of them were actually blood brothers. They blew up, which means that everybody knows that we've been lagging in this area for years. When I went to Detroit in 2016, I was talking to my peoples out there that I used to be out there hustling. And shout out to my Detroit family, my brothers, nothing to lose, rest in peace, big cuz. We also called them Cap, Jack Tripp, all the people that I knew from that Detroit area that I was doing my rap with, my hip hop thing with. But we was also out there hustling as well. So when I went back in 2016, I'm talking to them and my bro Debo that I grew up with. I'm like, yo, man, these white people killing us. I heard about this guy that has a dispensary out here, and he has a shop that wraps around the corner. I'm telling one of my bros, I'm like, you're a horticulturalist when it comes to this, man. Like, what are we doing? We can't continue to be beat out. Let's get the licenses. Let's get this thing going. Boom, boom. I was up there because we were invited as members of the Moorish Science Temple of America to the Nation of Islam Savior's Day speech. And, I'm gonna get to that, Brother Gerard. And that was one of the things that Farrakhan said at their Savior's Day speech. And everybody that was with me, they just all leaned in and they just looked at me like, yo, I was like, I just hunched my arms. Like I told you, Farrakhan was like, we need to be involved in this industry. Yeah, of course they got their restrictions, et cetera, but I don't think that marijuana is a drug in the way that they say that it is. I just don't. I don't. But the point that I'm raising is that why is it that right now we want to do something about this and make these investments? Brother Gerard, who's from Detroit, said here in Michigan, we have recreational marijuana. It's dominated by Chaldeans and Arabs. Just saying. In Black Detroit. My brother judicially affirmed, said Mexicans and Chinese control the market in California. Where was this investment at? When it comes to our people, you knew that we were boxed out because report after report showed us that. So now Kamala is going to come in and rewrite Biden's script of continuing benign neglect. Come on, we're not falling for that. We see it for what it is. Look, would it be something that I implemented if I was running? Yes, but this would be in my day one platform. Our people would already know it's Freedmen first. And the rising tides that lifts all boats will be because the freedmen is first. Of the rest of America is already doing good. Like, let's just keep it official, man. Most of America are doing good. If you break down their numbers, and I can pull up some charts in a few to show that. It is us that are at the bottom of just about every quintile of economic growth in this country or economic positionality in this country. Just, to use a better terminology. So let's finish reading. So if she goes on to attack, this is so funny. In your proposal for black men, you spend a lot of the document attacking Donald Trump. This is weird to me, but I want to read this part. Donald Trump spent 4 years making black men's lives harder. On his watch, millions of black men lost their jobs. Thousands closed their businesses, and hundreds of thousands lost their health insurance. As thousands of black men lost their lives to COVID-19, Donald Trump denied the severity of the crisis and made millions more unsafe. Crime in black neighborhoods soared while Donald Trump tried to cut funding for public safety and made black communities less secure. Now, I'm very critical of Trump's handling of COVID-19. I thought he handled COVID-19 disastrously. And at first, our people wasn't dying from COVID. Our people wasn't dying from COVID. It was white people. Every news report that came out, I think the first brother that passed was a brother from Louisiana, if my memory serves me correctly. And then it hit us like, man, it hit us like standing under a landslide, an avalanche. Yes, Donald Trump did, in my opinion, fail to adequately respond to COVID-19. They put out a bunch of conspiracy theories. The whole time this dude got the shot, was proud to get the shot. And I was putting this stuff up. I'm like, all of you people that's talking against the vaccine, this dude is saying he got the shot. And almost every last person in Congress, in the Senate, and I'm specifically talking about the Republicans, got that vaccine shot too. All of these content creators that talk all of this nonsense, all of the Twitter space cadets, ask your Republican representative, did they get that COVID-19 vaccine shot? And the answer more than likely is going to be yes. And then Trump bragged about how quick under his administration they produced this COVID-19 vaccine. So, you can't just go at Fauci all day, every day and claim that the CDC is bad guys, et cetera, et cetera. Well, at the same time, the man that y'all voted for is, he's saying that, this vaccine was great. It was produced in record time, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, we can make that case, but that shouldn't be in this plan because Biden and Kamala did nothing to mitigate we were already crawling out of the hole that Barack Obama put us in. Well, let me not say, the hole that Barack Obama put us in because his policies didn't help. In fact, help us. In fact, several articles, and I've highlighted them here on the Be the Power platform, show a study was done that Barack Obama's policies, especially when it came to housing and the economic recovery in this nation, damaged and destroyed black wealth even more. So we were just starting to crawl out of that hole, and then COVID hits. And we're back up the back of the hiring line all over again. Back of the line. Now, with this administration, you bring in what they say 11 million people have entered, and somebody could fact check me on those numbers, since Biden and Kamala have been in office. And like I said earlier, every construction site that I see is almost 80 to 90% Mexican. And if I'm lying, go out into your neighborhoods where you are and tell me where I'm wrong at. Tell me Who's the landscapers? Who owns the restaurants? Who owns whole strip malls? Who owns the hotels? The Indians. Like, we have no ownership. This is something that could have been addressed while Kamala Harris was in office. I, for one, would have lauded the administration for doing those things. Instead, our people since 2022 have made up 40% of all new eviction cases. 40%, us. 40%. That means the other 60% is everybody else, which means that our 40% is more than everybody else. Just saying. All right, let's continue. I'm skip past some of this stuff. They talk about him as a landlord, his refusal to rent to black tenants, calling the protesters thugs, etc., etc. If he's reelected, his hostility towards black men and their communities will continue. His Project 2025 agenda doubles down on his mistreatment of black men and their families, promising to cut funding for urban education, bring back stop and frisk practices, and slash critical investments in safety programs like Obamacare, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. All right, let's get into some of that, because I think that's important. Well, this last line, wait a minute, was funny. Meanwhile, he will slap a Trump tax on everything from food to gasoline, raising costs on the average black family by nearly $4,000 or more. You mean the increase, or like the increase that we've seen over the past 4 years? They say he will erase 4 years of financial gains and job growth for black men and leave their communities worse off for it. This is a lie that we've done well under this economy. When you do raw data and you look at American freedmen specifically, we have been struggling over the past 4 years, and what they're calling job growth is the gig economy. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. So let's, they start breaking some of this stuff down. Vice President Harris. Okay, wait, I'm sorry, I forgot that first part. We broke down Project 2025 on this platform about a month ago. We showed where Trump has distanced himself from it. In fact, many of the people, the Republicans that actually support the very framework of Project 2025, have come out and endorsed Kamala Harris. This is a fact. This is an actual fact that many of the Republicans on the right have come out against the populist president, Donald Trump, or former president, in support of the corporate Democrat, Kamala Harris. Those Republicans are not just supporters of Project 2025, they are some of the architects of some of its core components. These are the people that are, so when you hear Kamala saying, I have over X amount of Republicans who support me, look into their backgrounds. And one of the things that you'll find is these are the very people that support Project 2025. This is a fact. This is a fact. All right, let's continue. It says Vice President Harris will lower costs and give black men the tools to build wealth, provide for their families, and lead their community. So just to be clear and to reiterate, you cannot do black-specific policy. You cannot do it. They know this already. So we know that this is fluff. This is fluff. This is, we're going to do it for everybody, but we're going to slap the name black men on it. And we're going to make sure we do. They're watching the grassroots, family. They're watching these videos. Go back and watch the video we did on this channel breaking down Stacey Abrams. She did the same thing, an 11th hour appeal to black men. And it was just nonsense. It was just fluff. This has more substance than Stacey Abrams. So let's just say they went back and watched the video that we did, which was, I thought, an excellent breakdown of what Stacey Abrams was proposing. they could say, you know what, we can't do what Stacey Abrams did because this was empty. This was empty calories, if you will. This is just, it's going to fill their minds up, but it's not going to provide any nutritional value at all. Let's at least try to give them the guise of nutritional value in what we're proposing. So you got to give them credit for stepping their game up on that, but you have to give us more credit because we see through that and we're calling it out, and that's what we're doing right here. It says, Vice President Harris knows that costs are too high for Black men and that Black men have long been denied the tools that would allow them to grow their wealth, get a good paying job, and support their loved ones. That's why she has a plan to address these concerns. They don't realize that when they're making these claims, they are denying that this economic growth for our people and Black men in general, well, our people generally and Black men specifically, did not work for them. It just didn't. So this is contradictory. This is contradictory. And it is our job to point it out for everybody else so that they can know. It says she will ensure that Black men can build wealth and achieve economic success by providing 1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000 to Black entrepreneurs and others who have historically faced barriers to starting a new business or growing an existing business in partnership with trusted organizations like mission-driven lenders and banks with a proven commitment to their communities. Let's dissect that. Let's dissect that. Providing 1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000. So we know that the PPP loans were fully forgivable loans, right? And we know that a lot of our people didn't get those PPP loans. And there was a lot of fraud. And of course, we became the faces of the fraud while everybody was committing PPP fraud. Nevertheless, who are these Black entrepreneurs? Who are the Black entrepreneurs that they speak of? Are they American freedmen? Or are they people that were given a hand up in this country that migrated here from other countries? Because that is the case. That is the case. And their businesses may be struggling or may not be struggling. Who's to say that they wouldn't be eligible, for this $20,000 while you have homeless freedmen men walking the street in Charlotte and Raleigh and Durham and I mean, you could pick a place in South Carolina and in Atlanta, Georgia, and in Augusta. Homeless freedmen men. These plans start at the middle up. They never address the needs of the poor. They never address the needs of the poor. Providing 1 million loans that are fully forgivable of up to $20,000 to Black entrepreneurs and others who have historically faced barriers. What's key there? And others. Who are the others that you're speaking about that have historically faced these barriers? What were the barriers that we faced? Because everybody's economic wealth positionality in this country is better than ours. I know one time Darity told us like some Inuits or some, I don't know, and I could be corrected on that one because it was a while ago. They actually have a poorer wealth position. I was like, come on, really? I'm like, okay, but come on. Like, who are you speaking about? Because those are the people that they're never targeted with these programs. Their names are never slapped on any of this stuff. Black entrepreneurs and others who have historically faced barriers to starting a new business. Family, go through your city and watch whole Mexican strip malls. Juan's Automotive, Migos Automotive, like tequila restaurants, Chico's Tequila. They're all over the place. Who are you speaking about? Who are you speaking about here? Because what we're seeing with our own eyes doesn't reflect the fluff that they're putting into these policy proposals. It's really just, we're going to make sure that the people that have more. We're just going to slap the name black or black men on it. Black entrepreneurs who are usually not American freedmen. Sister Gina said they know good and well that reparative justice is what's needed, not these BS barely lift all policies. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Colombian restaurants everywhere. Go up to New Jersey. Go to New York. Where the Freedmen restaurants at? You got to come to the South to get you good Freedmen restaurants. And, you know, you go to North Carolina, you go to Georgia, you go to South Carolina. But even in that, we're starting to see the rise. I visit Charlotte often. I'm starting to see a lot of Black-owned restaurants that are owned by Nigerians and Ethiopians. The Freedmen businesses are lacking. I know businesses that shut down. My sister's business shut down, the Lobster Queen, because you can't compete with all of these people. And then you're not getting access to this funding and these resources because they're giving it to these other people. Like this is our reality. So when it says providing 1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000 to Black entrepreneurs and others, then you're not talking about me. You're still saying what you said in that interview with the griot. I'm not only going to say I'm going to do anything that only benefits Black people. No. That's what you're saying here. The rest of this stuff is just political babble. But what's interesting here, right? It says, but Vice President Harris knows that today the money needed to start your own business is not accessible for many Black Americans. Why didn't you do anything about it if you knew that? You've been known that. Then it says studies suggest, notice studies has a hyperlink to it. There are things that they have hyperlinks to in this paper. There are other things that they're just saying. We have no data to back up. We have no data to prove some of the stuff that's being said in this piece, right? That Black Americans are twice as likely to be denied credit by banks regardless of their credit scores. We know that because we've covered that here on the Be the Power channel years ago. We've pulled the articles that showed even with 720 to 750 credit scores, Black business owners are still more likely to be denied business loans due to discrimination. They've done nothing to fix that. They've done nothing to fix that. It says experts in Black entrepreneurs, you know, they got links here. They have links here, have identified limited access to capital as the most important factor that limits the creation and growth of Black-owned businesses. Let's go back to 2021 when they did the Freedmen's Bank Forum. And all of the Spanish people that got up there spoke about how their communities were being built up with the monies that were being funneled from the launching of this forum using our plight, the Freedmen's Bank Forum, into community development fund initiatives, MDIs, et cetera, that was going to Hispanics, that were building Hispanic businesses so that they could hire. One of the guys got up there and spoke about the millions. I think he spoke about $60 million that certain businesses received. And this was from 2021. So, you know, just kind of bear with. No. This one wasn't from 2021. This one, I believe, was from 2022, maybe even 2023. It wasn't this year's, because this year's they changed some things up because the grassroots is talking and they're paying attention to us. They're paying attention. But he spoke. I think this was last year's forum. You had John Hope Bryant talking about his mother's house off of one of the islands. I can't remember the island off of South Carolina. Homes start at $350,000. You had Maya Wiley, MSNBC legal contributor, talking about Donald Trump in Florida. Don't say gay laws, while Hispanics are speaking about the millions of dollars that are building up their communities. Hilton Head, thank you, Brother LaFair. I mean, it's like we have to break that down. Okay, Sleeping Olmec said over 200 congressmen did not get the vax. You know what? I'm going to look into that because I seen a study or a report, I should say, that came out a couple years ago that said many of those congressmen at the time did receive the vaccine. So it could be 200 new congressmen, maybe 100 of them are new. I don't know. So I want to see the numbers in real time. So if anybody could find those, just pull it up. I'll stand to be corrected. That was a few years ago when I looked at that. So, so my sister Antonia said maybe 4 Freedman businesses in Boston. And I spoke to this earlier, Sister Antonia, how when I was in Boston earlier this year, I mean, I seen not one beside a bookstore. Just the bookstore. All of the rest. I went to get coffee. I drove up from New York. I was going to meet up with Sister Antonia. So I went to get coffee, and it was the Ethiopian woman in there was so nasty. I was for those of you who know me, like, what? It's like, no, I don't want your coffee. I just walked out. Like, you got an attitude. And I don't think the attitude was because you just had an attitude that morning. You seen an American freedman. Oh, no, you're not going to give me no attitude, foreigner. That's not going to work. That's not going to work because I bet you don't act that way to your own people or the white people that come in there. And this is what we're talking about with this movement and why it's so important. She said, it continues, that's why today she is proposing a new partnership between the Small Business Administration and trust. You know, these are the same lines that we've heard over and over again. We're going to partner with the Small Business Administration and yada, yada, yada. It's like, come on, man. Come on. We have ideas. We have ideas in the grassroots, reestablishing the Freedmen's Bureau under the name and Office of Freedmen Affairs or Office of American Freedmen Affairs and funding it and diverting those funds from those MDIs and those CDFIs into it so that we can build our own communities up. Nobody can't tell me about a handout when this government has handed out millions to white people that built their middle class up and millions or billions, I should say, probably trillions since this country started to people that have migrated over here and now illegal immigrants. Don't bring that handout stuff to me because I'll smoke you on that topic every single time because it's only a handout when it comes to us. That's the same thing that these people that shame our men are doing. Listen to them. This is why they have Anton Daniels and Xavier D. Rousseau on Fox News. These dudes are not American freedmen. They do not speak for us. They do not speak for this grassroots. We know what we want and what we need. We know not those guys because they are not freedmen. They should never be able to speak on our behalf. Only we should be speaking on our behalf. Don't get people that look like us because then you're doing the same thing that the Democrats have been doing all of this time and you're no better. You're no better. You just brought a bunch of people onto your platform that pretend like they speak for us that diss the Democratic Party and that's good enough for you. Oh, you don't like those American blacks neither? Oh, well, let's get these guys on Fox. Nah, no more of that. So, I'll just highlighted some of this other stuff. This will help Black men and other Americans start to grow a business in their community when they don't have the startup capital. Other people already getting the money. Y'all are making sure of that. This administration has made, and it's not just this administration. We have to remember the Democrats controlled the executive branch for 12 out of the past 16 years. I didn't do the numbers on how many years they actually controlled the House and the Senate, but they've controlled it for 2 years at a time, if I'm not mistaken, during each Democratic administration. And then they would always lose the midterms. Pretty much, because I haven't looked at the raw numbers, but that seems to be the pattern over the past few election cycles. Immigrants are thriving in this country, family. The only people that are not thriving is us. So this is fluffy. So when you say this will help black men and other Americans, we go back to, I'm not going to say I'm only going to do something that's only going to help black people. So basically, this is a rising tides lift all boats policy proposal. It's a nothing burger. It's a nothing burger. Are there things in it that I can use for what we're building on our side of things? Sure, we can take some of this stuff and reword it, but we have an excellent plan, and we've already submitted our stuff. I don't want to say too much about that, but I'm just saying our plan is excellent, and it eliminates the racial element, which is what we've been saying all along. So you can't sue and say, oh no, you're only doing something for black people, because when it hits the Supreme Court, it is going to be challenged under the rationale standard. It'll never even reach the strict scrutiny standard. It'll never reach the strict scrutiny standard. Point blank, period. So just saying, man, I'm just saying, let's try to get through some more. Let me see what we looking like on time. Okay, we've been on an hour, so I'm gonna go through this thing. We have 253 people watching live, with most of those people on Twitter. We have 214 people watching on Twitter, 39 on the YouTube channel. People on X, come on over, click like on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so that you will be notified. Join the notification nation. You'll know every time Be the Power goes live. So let's continue with some of this stuff, man. Let me see. For example, these loans can help entrepreneurs rent office space and industry standard software to launch a cybersecurity company, pay for permitting fees, and purchase a van for catering businesses, set up a studio and buy advertising for a new architectural company, buy professional hairstyling equipment and chair space for a barbershop, buy lawnmowers and tools for a landscaper and more. Now, look, I'm not opposed to that. But with a fully funded Freedmen's Affairs, we can do all of these things. But I want to look at, rent office space. How about office buildings? Why is it that we can't just have office buildings? Why do we have to take the money and pay it to one of these corporate landlords who are probably one of the people that's supporting Kamala Harris? Because under Kamala and Biden, rents have tripled and quadrupled. I know they did in Athens, Georgia. I can tell you that. I know for a fact people's rents, people that I know rent went from $675, $725 to $1,450 and $1,455. That's almost triple. Almost triple. See, a serious proposal would be stopping corporate landlords from requiring you to have or provide 3 months of rent in order to rent an apartment. That's crazy. That you have to make 3 times the rent in a month. Now you have $2,100 rents. And you got to make $6,000 a month to see. That would be a serious proposal, but that's not in here. That's not. Y'all got to come holler at the grassroots if you want to get this stuff done right. We're on the ground. We can tell you what we need. Roland Martin, Bakari Sellers, the rest of these people. What's this dude name, man? Mark Lamont Hill. These people can't tell you what they need. They don't care. They don't care. They are for caping for the Democratic Party by any means necessary. Trump bad. F you Negroes. We're going to continue doing what we do. and you better vote for us, because if you don't vote for us, then something is wrong with you. If you don't vote for the do nothing for us Democrat, Sonny Hart, let's hear it.
You know, we can't poll people's hearts, and we can't see into people's hearts. And so when we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. I don't know what their hearts look like, but
you know, I'll call every white woman, Cuban men, Hispanic. Yeah, just call them by their regular name. But when it comes to us, it's ridiculous, crazy black men that voted for Trump. The consistent disrespect is why the numbers is off. And you've done nothing. You've done nothing. And you never put out a statement before saying, my hands are tied. I can't really do what I wanted to do in the administration for black people. So you can't even make that claim now. And the only thing you can do now is say, this is what I'm going to do. When you are in power now, you are the second most powerful person in the country. Nobody can feed me no BS excuse to the contrary. Nobody can feed me no BS excuse to the contrary. So let's get through some more of this. Let me see. She also worked with the private sector and called for additional funding to expand on proven ways to break down barriers and provide financing and venture capital to entrepreneurs and small business owners in black communities. Why did I highlight this? Because of the Fearless Fund. That's what the Fearless Fund was doing. They were getting monies from the private sector. This is how they were able to give their women of color grants out. They used black people in the title, women of color in the body of the text. Who benefited the most from the Fearless Funds? The Diverse People of Color Coalition. Many of the black women that did receive those grants had African last names. Brother Ibrahim did a whole breakdown on this on his channel, Ibrahim Tanner TV. Whole breakdown. This isn't going to work. They know that. They know the Supreme Court case that just happened June of 2023. You can't do race-based legislation. So how do you plan on pulling this off? You don't. You don't plan on pulling this off. You give them something so that people can make videos saying, what y'all gonna say now? What y'all gonna say now? She done put out a black agenda. These people are so crazy, man. Okay. Expanding access to bank accounts and lending to help black men build. Well, I was confused by this. Expanding access to bank accounts. Vice President Harris will also work with the private sector to expand access to affordable banking options that will allow black men and others who are locked out of the banking system and the wealth building that comes with it because of the high fees to save, invest, and build credit. What are you going to do? How does that policy look? How does that what are you going to tell these private banks? Like, I don't get it. Because of high fees to save, invest, and build credit, expanding access to banking. This makes no sense. Vice President Harris took on predatory lenders when she was Attorney General of California. Did you take them on now as vice president? And you're in a more powerful position. Did you instruct the Justice Department to stop the predatory lenders? Did you instruct the Justice Department to arrest the people that caused the crash in 2007 and 2008? Of course not. Those people own you, and you're not going to do anything to disrupt that. And you know that you're not. We know better. Let's go to this next one. Enabling Black men who hold digital assets to benefit from financial innovation. More than 20% of Black Americans own or have owned cryptocurrency assets. This was a doozy to me. Vice President Harris appreciates the ways in which new technologies can broaden access to banking and financial services. She will make sure owners of and investors in digital assets benefit from a regulatory framework so that Black men and others who participate in this market are protected. This is a nothing burger. This means nothing. More than 20% of Black Americans own or have owned cryptocurrency assets. What does that mean exactly? I invested a couple $100s in some cryptocurrency a couple years ago. I think whatever I invested is down to like $68 right now. What this means absolutely nothing. This is a nothing burger. This isn't what the men, who are the Black men that got together and told Kamala Harris, put this in there, cryptocurrency asset protection. Add that in there. That's going to get the Black men excited. That's going to get them excited. That's right, brother, Truth to Power. She's clearly pandering to the immigrant community. And we all know that she's not going to take on those donors, man. That's right, brother LaFair. They know we are years ahead, many years ahead. They can't get this stuff past us at all. LA born DC Love said, this business stuff is a joke. Real talk is the SBA doesn't even give us business loans. A CDFI can normally provide loans less than $50,000, but then they don't report to the DUNS, so you're not building biz credit. I did not know that. I did not know that. That's something else that I have to look into now. I have to look into this. But through an Office of American Freedmen Affairs with an obvious DUNS number and providing grants and loans, possibly forgivable loans or loans with no interest, I wouldn't want to give I would give the Office of American Freedmen Affairs would give a zero interest loan to American freedmen. Pay back what you were given and that's it. Remember Donald Sterling, the owner of the Clippers? He was dissing Magic Johnson and Black people. And he was like, we Jews get together and open up financial institutions. And then when our people come to us with business ideas to open up businesses, we give them loans with no interest. That's a part of their religion. That's a part of Islam as well. If you know about the Islamic and Judaic banking system, they do no interest loans. Well, that's a policy that we as American freedmen would adopt. We've been taxed enough. Taxation without proper representation has been the lives that we've lived in this country for the longest. No more. So let's get through some more of this. Let me see, man. This is why she will work with Congress to require. All right, breaking down unfair and unnecessary barriers to employment for Black men. Vice President Harris. See, you got to say this because you know that those fake job numbers that you tout mean nothing. Because it's the gig economy. And I'm going to get into that. That's not meaningful employment. That's side hustle work. That's supplemental income work that under the Obama administration, they decided that they were going to count as real jobs. So when they say we've had record job growth, no, you didn't. And that goes for every administration as well. You think Trump is going to say, well, technically, those are gig economy jobs. Those aren't real. No, he's going to take credit for that as well. It's like, okay, they put it in place. You better believe I'm going to take credit for it. But when you break it down, that's not meaningful employment. It's not meaningful. It says that's why she will work with Congress to require businesses to limit the use of unnecessary criminal arrest histories, convictions, and credit scores in their employment decisions. I mean, you would have to pass an act that would get through Congress, then that would get through the Senate. And what this implies is that black men are inherently and innately criminal. Forget the fact that the ghettos created by the United States of America, which produced the poverty or crimes of poverty, and study after study have been done on this subject. Just like forget that these people are just criminals because they're inherently criminals, right? They have black skin. Of course they're criminals. What do the racist whites say in this country? You guys are 13% of the population and you commit 50% of the crimes. It's like, really? Even the babies? What about the old grandmothers and grandfathers? They out there banging too? They doing drive-bys? Like on the scooters? Like, how's that working? How is the whole 13% of the population committing half the crimes in this country? Silly nonsense. Nonsense. No, but that's what we're here for. We're here to deconstruct all of the nonsense. And that's exactly what this stream is dedicated to. That's what this platform is dedicated to. That's what this platform is dedicated to. So, and somebody just sent me a message regarding The View, one of the fam. Remember when Whoopi called Jewish people white and they're not a race? Where is our apology? Black ain't a race, it's an ethnicity. I disagree with that, sis, that sent me that message. I ain't gonna put you on blast right now because I just read it as it came. No, black is not an ethnicity. Black is a race. And it's been a race since this European decided to make it one, just like they did with whiteness. It's just like whiteness is not an ethnicity. When those people are screaming white power, they are talking about the white race. They specifically use that term. And what is the obverse of whiteness? It's blackness. It's its opposite. And while those that are racist, that practice this stuff, exhibit all of the stuff that blackness entails, then, well, I'm just saying, they exhibit all of those different things. But that's another subject, right? I disagree with the notion that black is an ethnicity, because it's not. And it's not in the United States of America. Federal Directive 15, which is now called Special Policy Directive 15, does not state that black is an ethnicity. It states that it's a race. And it tells you who's included in that racial category of blackness. Any peoples having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. I know they slightly modified some of the language because of the entries of United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. Like, let's just keep it a buck on that. That we made them even update blackness because they seen how crazy it was as well. It was a slight modification, but they knew that we were right. They knew that we were right. But let's get through the rest of this. Let us get through the rest of this. Let me see. Enabling black men and other workers to profit when company executives profit. Right now, black employment rates are at all-time highs. You're contradicting yourself. Because just, not too long ago, you just said Vice President Harris knows that black men are disproportionately shut out of the job market based on their criminal records and their credit scores. And then further up, there were, let me see. All right, I've read it already, but you spoke about our barriers of employment. And now you're saying black employment rates are at all-time highs. If that's the case, why are we leading the country in evictions over the past 2 years? Why are homeless rates among our people on the rise? See, the eviction rates are going to tell you everything that you need to know about the economy when it comes to our people. So are you driving Uber or Lyft and DoorDashing and Uber Eats and living out of an Airbnb? Because you know they're going to count that as gainful employment when it's not. It's not. It says, but too few Black Americans own assets that build wealth over time. How do you do that with, DoorDashing? How can you do that? You need gainful employment to do that. And that has to be sustained, not over just a generation, but over 2 or 3 generations. This is why other groups are able to come into this country. And after 2 or 3 generations, they're able to pass on tangible assets. They're able to pass along whole businesses. While many American freedmen are struggling to build one, and many American freedmen businesses are being shut down all across the country. It says Vice President Harris has a plan to help Black men own more assets by reforming our tax laws to reward employer participation in employee stock ownership plans, profit sharing plans, and comparable arrangements with appropriate guardrails to ensure these plans benefit and protect workers. Giving low and moderate income workers a stake in the business has been shown to close the racial wealth gap and fuel business growth, a win-win proposition. Now, I haven't looked at this study because they have a link here to this study. I didn't have time to look at it, and I'm going to. And I'm pretty certain that giving low and moderate income workers, low and moderate freedmen, income workers, a stake in the business is not going to close the racial wealth gap. The racial wealth gap is $800,000 to $100,000. And I'm being generous. You don't close the race. A study was done, and we showed it on this platform that showed that it would take us 224 years on income alone to catch up to white wealth. It would take Hispanics 84 years. These people are adding more people into the country every single year, and it will only take them 84 years. Something is broken, and until we have reparative justice, all of this is fluff. This just means nothing. This means nothing. It's just fluffiness. And our people have to notice, hey, fam, we got about 300 people watching on X. Come on over to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, share the video out. Share it out on X as well. Make sure you click like on the video. Let people know that we're having a discussion and we're dissecting this fluff piece that's supposed to be Kamala's plan for Black men. And when Trump drops his plan, we're going to do the same dissection. If we're going to call a spade, this is for our people. We don't we're not leaning either way as a group. And our individuals have their, and the group have their leanings, right? But as a group, we're not leaning either way. We just lean American freedmen. So when we see Trump's plan for our people, we're going to dissect it with the same vigor. Know that for a fact. Okay, let's read this. Expanding pathways for Black men to good paying jobs, whether or not they have a college degree. Vice President Harris will also eliminate unnecessary degree requirements and promote meaningful pathways for those without college degrees for 500,000 federal jobs. Federal jobs. And she will challenge the business community to do the same. Now, who will get these federal jobs? Will it be American freedmen / Black men? Who will these jobs go to? It says, and she will challenge the business community to do the same. Yes, because you know that you had to add that for people like myself who can read between the lines. That saying you're going to push for 500,000 federal jobs or by removing the degree requirement doesn't mean that that's going to transfer into private businesses where most of our people work in this country. That's really only going to help people that have federal jobs. And so they had to add, and she will challenge the business community to do the same. The business community doesn't have to comply. They care about their bottom line. That's it. They want, most of these businesses want the minimum wage to remain at $7.25 while rents are reaching record highs in this country. And instead of raising wages and adding value to the dollar, the greedy corporatists in this country fight against any minimum wage that's over $7.25. I was listening to something the other day, and they was talking about California's minimum wage and how it was destroying the economy. And I was like, so, and I don't know what it is. And I think it may be 15 or 20. One of my Cali people in the chat could correct me on that. Providing a wage for you to pay your rent and your bills is destroying the economy. But keeping it at $7.25, and is that the national average? What is the national? It's been so long that I looked at some of this stuff. I think $7.25 is the national average. In a state like California, you won't be able to pay rent with $7.25 an hour. That means that there's something inherently wrong with how capitalism is structured in this country, and that in order to do anything significant, you have to break the backs of the oligarchy, the corporatocracy that is using the model of the slaveocracy to lord over us all. We are merely serfs in this system. That's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. So Sister Chanita Davis says, listen, I assume she's speaking about Trump. Listen to his speech he just gave in Nevada. He declared his love for black men. He said Project Aurora will remove the migrants. Okay, if he talking that talk, I'm with that. I'm with that. But I still got to see that plan in writing, Sister Chanita. We going, you already know we going to fine-tooth comb that plan. And we going to point out the bad parts. And, we'll touch on the good parts. The Democrats are supposed to be the ones that's doing this for us. And I've said, some of this stuff in there, I looked at it, I read the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, this stuff is okay, but it's fluff because it's the same stuff that they promise election cycle after election cycle, and most of it never gets done. I'm going to skip down to some of this stuff and start wrapping this thing up. Invest in grant programs for mentorship and leadership development. Vice President Harris will commit to expanding funding for existing community. Oh, you know what? My bad. Let me scroll back up. I wanted to go back to, because I wanted to point this out right here, because I brought up the OMB earlier. It says she will set a goal to double the number of registered apprenticeships in America by the end of her first term, which provide quality training in high-demand industries with a clear pathway to a good-paying job, and will bring together high schools, trusted community organizations like the National Urban League, state and local governments, and the private sector to ensure that black men are able to get the training and technical credentials they need, yada, 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 yada. The reason why I red flag highlight trusted community organizations like the National Urban League, because when we were just pushing with the OMB to disaggregate our group, the American freedmen, we are different from Nigerian Americans and Liberian Americans and Jamaican Americans and Haitian Americans, other people that get to celebrate their unique countries and cultural expressions. Right here in the United States, they celebrated Nigerian Independence Day in New York City last month. I had to clean up some dude, Rakeem Shabazz. I had to clean him up in the Twitter space, call himself trying to debate me. Stop it. Y'all know none of y'all got no wins over here. Stop it. Anyway, it was the National Urban League. It was the National Urban League that helped to halt our disaggregation efforts and said, no, we're just all one big black person, and tried to make it seem as if that those of us, and you could cite the different groups, those of us that are Freedmen conscious, FBA, ADOS, were divisive, trying to drive a wedge between people that fly Jamaican flags if they're Jamaicans, Haitian flags if they're Haitians, Nigerian flags. We're trying to disaggregate the numbers so that we can know exactly how our people are getting flushed out. So the National Urban League are the ops now. They do not represent the American freedmen. For those of you that have been following what's been going on, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The National Urban League does not represent us. They stopped representing us a long time ago. They represent corporate interests. They are a part of the black buffer class, the Roland Martins, the Greg Carrs, the Bakari Sellers, the Reverend Al Sharptons, the Joy Reids, the NARCs, the Encobras, the Pan-African organizations that say, screw your disaggregation. We are one big Negro, and if we all can't get, you can't get, while the rest of them are getting. These people are opposition. And because they didn't come to the grassroots, they don't know this. They don't know this. See, the grassroots would have let them know, no, we don't add the Urban League in that. We have organizations in the grassroots, and I'll name a few of them. And we will utilize them and ensure that those groups get the funding, if need be, through an Office of American Freedmen Affairs to help carry on these plans where we want to bring together trusted community organizations that hardly receive any funding at all for the work that they are doing. See, I know when to take my shots and when to big up. When to big up the peoples in the movement. Chill, I got this. Let me see. Let's scroll down here. It says invest in grant programs for mentorship and leadership development. Vice President Harris will commit to expanding funding for existing community mentorship programs that have a proven track record of helping young black men succeed and connecting them with established leaders in various fields. What are those? Like, who are those established leaders? What are these community mentorship programs that you're speaking about? And of course, you're speaking about my brother's keeper. Of course, that's what you're speaking about. This is like Wu-Tang said and Jay said on one of his tracks on 444. My C's marry his C's, marry they C's. This is how we keep, in this case, democratic money all up in the family. This whole thing, if she's elected and implemented, will benefit organizations like buffer class organizations, like the National Urban League, like Obama's My Brother's Keeper, where he'll raise up another group of finger-waving black men that'll turn into your Mark Lamont Hills and Bakari Sellers, et cetera, and get the wagging and pointing their fingers at us black men that are just trying to live this American life. Been trying to live this American life for a long time. No different than the people that wag their fingers at us on the right. You people have no moral higher ground than those people on the right. And we're here to call you out on it. You get equal smoke. Okay, let me see. I'm going to skip over the farmers part. I talked about that all already. Most of this one was crazy to me. Providing black men and their families with reliable, low-cost internet access by reenacting the affordable connectivity. See, these were COVID relief programs. Most of these were COVID relief programs. They were meant to be ephemeral, short-lived. They were not meant to be long-lasting at all, because it was to help the rest of America. And when it comes to when America gets a cold, Black America, or let me be specific, the American freedmen get COVID-19. And it's just as simple as that. So when those funds ran out, we went right back to the same struggles that was caused under, I don't want to say it was caused under the Obama administration, but what I will say is up until the recession, caused by the Bush administration. Let me be clear on that. We were making strides in this country. We were really making some strides in this country. It wasn't great, but it was better than it had been in a while. And we have not recovered, and we're complaining about it because we have the right to complain. This Constitution, the First Amendment, says that the citizenry has the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I don't care what these people on the right have to say about calling it a handout when this government hands out billions of dollars every year. When these corporate Republicans and Democrats write these bills that hand out corporate welfare to Boeing and all of these other big companies that keep effing up all the time, and the government keeps giving them bags and bags of money while the everyday person struggles. Steve Bannon was right. We are serfs being lorded over by lords. And it's just a fact. We are living in a feudal America, and only we can break this neo-feudalism. Only we can do that. All you fucking racists out there, you being played. Your hatred for us is something that's manufactured. Go back and look up Bacon's Rebellion, when we all was fighting the same corporatocracy, which then was the planter bourgeoisie class together. The bourgeoisie class got together and said, listen, man, I think the best course of action is we bring whites into a specific class and alienate the blacks and put them into perpetual slavery. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what the planter class did. I want you all to go look up Bacon's Rebellion and the origin of the white race. Many of you are just idiots. These racists for no reason. You're hateful for no reason. And you're getting your pockets picked just like we are, with the exception of because the people that look like you are in control of more of the business and political apparatuses in this country. You get the benefit more than we do. But at the end of the day, we are all suffering. But we as American freedmen are suffering worse. We're suffering worse. And if your position is I'll suffer as long as I'm more superior than those people, then you are the problem and the reason why the oligarchy, the corporatocracy keeps doing what they're doing. And that's just the fact. And that's what Kamala represents. She represents the corporatocracy, no doubt about it. Those Republicans that are backing Kamala, that are also architects of Project 2025, are backing Kamala. They are the lords in this neo-feudalist system that we have right now. And that's just a fact. That is a fact. I dare somebody to try to come up and refute it. Sister Isla said Elon Musk is the king of government handouts. I remember when him and Trump was beefing back in the days. You know, that's another stigma. You know, you don't see white people beefing. Our rappers is always beefing. I probably said that before too, but I was wrong. Let me admit that for saying that. Now, these two billionaires was beefing too. Because Trump was like, I remember when you were on your knees, Elon, begging me in the Oval Office to fund it. Elon was getting that funding. Why is it a billionaire and Elon Musk can get funding from the United States government, but everyday Americans, especially those of us who are hurting the most, the American freedmen, we got to get called welfare cases begging for a handout? That makes absolutely no sense. And most of the people that spread this nonsense, they're idiots. They're just idiots. They're idiots. It is what it is. We got to call a thing, fam. Let me see. How much more do I want to get to this? I'll read some more of this right here because I'm highlighting how these programs ended. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law's Affordable Connectivity Program provided 23 million households with up to the bipartisan. These people are so slick. With up to $30 off of their monthly internet bills and the one-time discount of up to $100. The economy was moving very slow at the time. People weren't working. They had to offer this program. How are you going to keep up with the already exorbitantly high cable and internet bills that everyday people pay? This is just a place that's just greedy. America the avarice is what I call her. America the avarice. This is just a place of just greed. And that's it. That's why AOC could get into office after popping all that junk about Nancy Pelosi and then kiss the ring, bend the knee. That's what Brother Butch Ware calls her, AOC Pelosi. It's like, because that's you're one and the same. They come in one way and they leave out another way. See, when we get into power, because we have an actual blueprint, we have a blueprint. We're going to come in one way and we're going to leave out better than we came in. And we're going to make sure we pass it along to our people. We're going to practice freedman nepotism. We have a plan for that. We just need our people to get on board. United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen and Be the Power has a plan. Go to our website, usadof.org, view our 12-point agenda, and you're going to see that our plan is in motion. You know, people sending me messages about certain people that I was cool with at one point, popping junk about me and what the freedmen doing and all of these people. What happened to Naheem? Yo, we moving, family. I don't know what the hell is on some of these people's minds, but we moving. And we got a track record that's right on our website to prove it. You know, I don't know what these people are looking at, if they're looking at all. You know, some people just like taking shots at shit. You know, some of these people be messy, misandrous, and, you know, when the time comes, all of that stuff comes out. I'm not with none of that. I'm genuine and 100% real, point blank, period. And I'm not going to ever be one way towards somebody and then be another different way towards that person just out of the clear blue. I don't rock like that. And that's how we doing this movement right now. And that's why so few of us, because only the real can come into this circle. You got to be forged in a crucible of sorts. You got to be forged in a crucible because that's what's going to be needed to move this thing forward. That's what's going to be needed to move this thing forward. So we don't give a goddamn about what none of these people talking about that's not in this movement and helping to move this movement. But our track record speaks for us. So again, we're having a debate in Boston. Pop out next Saturday. We're going to educate the community. We're going to feed the community. We're going to do a Q&A mixer after that. Our work does not stop. We've submitted, like there's stuff that I don't talk about in the public. There's stuff that I don't talk about in the public. So I don't care what no messy misandrous is talk about at all. I'm just going to keep it official with you. Anyway, I just want to get to this point where it says, which ended June of this year. Right? It said Vice President Harris will reenact this popular program, which ended June of this year, to ensure that Black men and their families throughout the country are able to connect to the internet. Like, I got problems with all of this stuff because these are things that you could have already implemented to some degree. You could have pushed and pushed and pushed and made these proposals saying black men, what black families are you talking about? The immigrant black family? Because you're trying to get freedmen women to abort their babies. That's why I have problems with this language. Black men and their families. I was asked the question, what do black men want? I said, black men want to be able to take care of their families. That's the number one answer. Most of the problem that our men are having with our women is due to the fact that we live in a capitalist society that requires capital, and we've been boxed out generation after generation after generation. Look up the great wealth transfer that happened, I believe, at the beginning of this year or last year. I can't remember how many trillions of dollars it was. All of that was from white families going to the next generation, damn near. It wasn't American freedmen. That's due to a history of us being boxed out. I'll never let nobody ignore that or try to say, oh, you guys are just lazy and you don't want to work. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Just get tired of the nonsense that you got to deal with. The two largest discrimination lawsuits in the state of California is black people, freedmen specifically, suing Hispanics for workplace discrimination. The Hispanics are out there calling our people monkeys and all of the stuff that white people did to us, bringing bananas to work, throwing it at our people. We're being ganged up on across the country. This is why we're pushing a back South strategy. Get our people back to the South. I see Wendell Pierce, the famous actor, riding the K-Hive train, doing his job and shaming our men. But he mentioned that back South strategy. But they're trying to get in front of us because we've been promoting it. Charles Blow put the book out in a neutral sense, but then made a documentary to make it seem like Democrats, if you do this, we could control. No, this shouldn't be about a political party. The back South strategy, where we have a 50+1 majority, should be about American freedmen families. I don't care what the party is. I don't care what the party is. These people are bugging. And this is why we are taking control over our own political destinies. That's why we have this platform, Be the Power. That's exactly why we have this platform, Be the Power. And for those of you that are watching on Twitter right now, got my brother Josh on. We got 348 people watching on Twitter. Come on over to the YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, click like, share the video out, hit that little bell icon. Let's grow this thing. It's time for us to grow. It's time for real leadership. And this is what you're witnessing right now. You're witnessing leadership. And we can speak to what we do and what we have done in this space. But you've never heard us brag about anything. What's going on, brother Josh?
Yo, what's up?
Good, man. You know, we cooking on this Kamala thing. See if it'll melt under the fire. And so far, it's just like plastic is dripping all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I read through the initial piece of it. I didn't go through the full document from the press release from her site, but just looking at the bullet points, and I don't know how much you covered on this. We usually talk about this stuff. I've been out of the game all day with family stuff, but my take on this is it's like they didn't listen to any of the stuff we've been saying. They said, well, we got something that maybe you're not familiar with, or maybe we think that you don't know that you should have been asking for this, or maybe this is something that you might take some time to process. So, in the meantime, you might as well go ahead and just say, concede that we got something for you. And the other trick bag that's involved with this is So you're saying that you're not going to do anything specific for us. Yes, that was the quote. And then now you're saying, okay, we got something specific for you. And not just specific for black people, but specific for black men. But we already know that the Supreme Court ruling from that affirmative action piece has already made anything that you're trying to do race specific dead on arrival. So and the thing that we're talking about is we're not necessarily talking about we need something that's race specific. What we're asking for is separate of that. It's basically class specific to the freedman class. That's what we need. That we need stuff specific to our issues, not something that you implement and they're gonna come for it like they did the Fearless Fund or some the black farmer. As soon as you institute it, and then you got to come up with the excuse. Oh, see, the Supreme Court is shooting us down. No, you should see that the problem is the program was flawed from the jump when you didn't do freedman specific policy. And maybe that's not politically expedient, but you can't say that you don't know. You can't say that you don't know because you were in the administration when we came to the OMB and we told you what we needed, the community, and you pretty much ignored us. The OMB pretty much let the NAACP and the Urban League come in and shape the narrative and say, well, just leave it as it is. Let's not act like they don't understand the nuance here. They understand it. They just this whole thing is they're trying to win the largest number of votes. So they don't want to get into that nuance, which means that you're really not trying to do the business of repair. And then I was looking at the number. It said a million loans up to 200 or up to 20,000 a loan. Look, man, it really shows you kind of what they recognize that we're broke and we're poor and we don't have wealth, because you're saying that 20,000 is really doing something, is really helping. You're seeing how many businesses that were created under COVID, and I'm not trying to say that most people 20,000 wouldn't be helpful, but I don't really know like how you're looking at it, like you're making a dent by giving somebody a little 20,000 when we talking about, which 20, let's say if they gave you 20,000 times a million, that's like 200 billion. Okay. That's nowhere close to what we're talking about, for reparations. We're talking about, you have to do like what, 2 trillion a year for 10 years or something like that. So, hey man, and that's because it has to reach the masses of the freedom, not just a few here that you get approved for certain programs. Nah. So, I mean, I know you probably went further in depth on this, but, and then the last thing is we already know that a lot of this is not even going to be, a lot of this is one of those things where rising tide lifts all boats. We're going to do something that helps everybody. And we are projecting that this is going to disproportionately benefit more of our people because we're, the people that are the most poor, the most wealthless, et cetera, et cetera. But it does, but what in today's America, what we notice that happens, especially in America where you let open the floodgates and let any and everybody come on through, is resources get gobbled up by people that's not us, and they get to it first. And so I don't really know how that's going to go if you don't have some type of freedman specific exclusivity on some of these resources that's being given out. When you're talking about now, we're going to have to also, it's not, you didn't say it's specific for us, so what you're saying is so what normally happens in that scenario is we still don't even capitalize and most other folks capitalize. I have to see, I have to see it from there. So I don't know what you got. What else you got? I mean,
Yeah. I've definitely covered most of that. I mean, yeah, but that's just reiterating the fact. And somebody said this: legislation for a specific race is unconstitutional. We know that. We've been breaking that down. Class specific, socialism, the DSA political platform is for you. I don't know what the DSA political platform is. I've never heard of it before, but we have our own platform, and we're building our platform. We're the ones that have been breaking down the fact that you can't do race-based legislation since we came into space some years back. You can't.
when I say class based, let me clarify that. When I say class, I'm not talking about uh, you know, upper class, middle class, lower class, working class. I'm talking about the same way you would have like a class action lawsuit. When you have a class action lawsuit, you have people that are qualified, that are parties to that suit. They are members of a certain class, and the members of that particular class are entitled to damages that come from that lawsuit. So our class is the freedman class. Those people who uh, uh, were enslaved in the United States or were emancipated, and whose uh, descendants went through slavery. I mean, went through Jim Crowism and black codes and all kind of discrimination and atrocities that resulted in the Gulf, the wealth of Gulf that we see today, in the tens of trillions of dollars. That are pretty much at the bottom of every metric of well-being in America, due to the legacy of all of that. So that's what we're talking about, that class of people, not working class, middle class. No, we talking about one specific group of people. And you can, in the same way you do a class action lawsuit, you look at that people as a class. That's what we talking about, the freedman class.
I don't know. Some people coming in saying some. So this guy said the same guy said 22 trillion in entitlements since LBJ. Now I don't know if he's trying to reference that towards us, but what I did was put a link in the chat. How today's white middle class was made possible by welfare. There's several articles and studies that have been done on this phenomenon of government handouts that was started with the New Deal, which gave handouts to only white Americans. Very few of our people qualified for the program in the way that they had it structured. They boxed us out of the program for 30 years. So if those trillions are supposed to somehow reflect us, you're wrong, buddy. Because what happened was when we got the program, now I want people to imagine this. Government is giving out money to white people in this country. This is a fact. Government gave out homesteads, 160 acres apiece, to white people, largely people that came from Europe, and others in this country that were white if they wanted them. And this is how we can, outside of slave labor building up the basis of this economy, this is how many white families have produced wealth generation after generation after generation. The white middle class was built off of welfare. That's a fact. When we got it, the people that had nothing, the whites got mad because in order for them to feel and maintain the aura of superiority, well, they have to have more than us. They have to keep us at a state of being the way that they see us, subhumans, because this is what they taught themselves. Again, go back to Bacon's Rebellion and understand how this system of race even comes into play, because nobody's black and nobody's white. These are terms that European Americans called themselves and us to create a distinction based on class and how they wanted to view us. Anyway, when we finally got got the program, the government couldn't fight it anymore. So the compromise was they will reduce the benefits. I liken it to a cake, this government welfare system. White America was getting nice slices of the cake. You know when you slice the cake and it's the crumbs at the bottom, where you remove the slice from, this is what we got out of the program. Never enough to do what white America did, which was build themselves up, which was to have supplements to income. So even if a man went to work, his wife was getting, his European American, AKA white wife, was getting these welfare benefits. So they were building a double wealth, if you will. While our people were poor, especially in the 1930s, and still largely relegated to sharecropping and convict leasing. These people are crazy that make these crazy claims. Now they talk about African kings and queens are the class that got wealthy. These people are bugged out, man. And then this other guy comes in and said, Kamala, the person that married a white man is anti-white. A person that remixed truancy laws that disproportionately affected freedmen families in California to impress the white conservatives out there, to show that she was just as tough as they are, and somehow anti-white. Don't bring those comments over here. This ain't right-wing, quote unquote, black media. No, we are a whole different monster over here. We're a whole different monster over here. We don't let stuff like that slide. You can
and look
on Daniel's channel and get that stuff off. He I think he's Nigerian American. He don't like us no way. He believes the same way racist whites believe about us. Those comments fly over on those channels, but they don't fly over here.
Who was that? Who are you talking about, Naheem?
Oh, I was just talking about Anton Daniels. You know, he's content creator, and he made a lot of videos going at us over the years, the reparations movement. And you know, he's on Fox News now. He's one of the people they bring on to talk about black men. You know, I want to get back to this though, real quick. I'll probably end on this because it's still some stuff in here that I wanted to touch on, but we broken down a lot of it, and I was able to show that this is just fluff. It's just fluff, man. Let me see. Lowering rent. So I spoke earlier about how if the administration was serious, they would have implemented policy prescriptions to go at corporate landlords and the tripling of rents in this country. Damn near tripling, and in some cases, tripling and quadrupling of rents. And the fact that you have to pay or make 3 times the rent in order to rent an apartment. It's just wild. That's just the wildest thing. But this is what gentrification looks like. It's like, how many of our people are going to be able to make 3 times the rent in a month? $2,100. 21. So you're telling me I got to make $6,300 in a month, times that by 12, and tell me how many of our people, what percentage of our people make that per year? Not a lot. Not a lot. I'm willing to bet that is probably, and I'm just guessing here, Josh, maybe just a 5% of our people make that in a year. Maybe. I can be off.
What's
on
that?
I'm just guessing right now.
What number is that?
The number to you got to make to rent an apartment. They say you have to make 3 times the rent in order to rent. So if the rent is $100, you got to, which is a new price. The same rent in the South that was maybe $1,000 or $800 is now $2,100. And you have to now make $6,300 a month in order to rent one of these units. Times that by 12. Anyway.
Yeah.
He has here lowering rent. Vice President Harris will incentivize the private sector to create new affordable housing units throughout the country so that the high cost of rent does not stand in the way of anyone's ambitions. She will also partner with the private sector to build 3 million additional housing units in her first term. Like, all of this is problematic to me. All of this is problematic to me. What you're saying is you're not going to go after price gouging when it comes to rent. You're going to go after price gouging when it comes to food prices. And studies have shown that there's been no price gouging. Prices rose with inflation due to the supply chain issues that began with COVID. That's why prices rose. There's no price gouging. And if it is, you could point to a company or two and say they price gouge. Okay, well, what about the rest of the companies? And we broke that down when she first dropped her first plan on one of our streams about a month and a half ago. Nothing burgers. But I want to read, Vice President Harris will incentivize the private sector to create new affordable housing units through the country. I'm not going to go after the corporate landlords that are already charging people exorbitant amounts for rent. Just going to build new units. Who will these new units go through? They won't go to American Free. When I read this, I said what I said when I read the first plan she released a month or over a month ago. All of this is going to benefit her new immigrant voting bloc that they're bringing in. More than triple the number of new first-time Black homeowners each year by the end of her first term through her housing plan. How would you do that? Okay, Vice President Harris has proposed an ambitious plan to lower the costs of renting and buying a home by building 3 million additional homes and providing up to $25,000 for a down payment for first-time home buyers who lack inherited wealth. Does something seem different to you, John? In that highlighted portion. See, initially,
who lack inherited wealth. See, before
that's not what's different. What's different is the wording. First-time home buyers.
Instead of first-generation home buyers.
Instead of first-generation home buyers. These think they're so slick. They caught the heat. They caught the heat from saying first. Now, they mention it in the more you read, but the upfront initial, let me catch your eye, catch your attention with this shiny object, says $25,000 for a down payment for first-time home buyers who lack inherited wealth. No, that's not what the initial plan says. It's not what it says. It's not what the initial plan says. First-generation home buyers. And when you read more, it says research shows that promoting first-generation home ownership, she's letting you know we sticking to the plan. This is only going to benefit immigrants. That's a fact. That is a fact. And anybody that tries to argue otherwise is trying to piss on your head and tell you that it's rain. You can't run the bait and switch on us. I grew up in New York City. You can't do 3-card Monty with us in the shell game. We know the game. We know how it's rigged. We're not going to stand there getting our vote year after year, which is the akin to keep paying the guy that's jerking you out of your money playing 3-card Monty or trying to pick which bean the silver thimble that's under the silver thimbles or whatever you want to call them. It's like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm just going to tip the tables over and then dig in your pockets and say, give me what's mine. And that's what this movement is. It's tipping the tables over and digging in some pockets. Because like I said, we have a plan. We have a strategy for our people that is formidable. And I'll put it up against anything that anybody proposes. And then we'll go to the public with it and see whose plan is more viable. Whose plan would the people accept more? Like I said earlier, Trump will be releasing a plan soon, and we're going to give it the same scrutiny that we're giving this plan. We just don't rock with Kamala, the chameleon, Jim Crow Joe Biden, and the do nothing for us Democrats anymore. And we're asking the Republicans, what do you have to offer? And if it's a nothing burger, we're going to call it a nothing burger and stay along the course of we must take power in our own hands, which is why our platform is called Be the Power. And such, for those of you, we have almost 400 people watching on Twitter. Come on over to the YouTube channel. click like on the video, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell icon, etc., etc., etc. We will no longer fall for the con game. I guess I could stop it right there. She talks about child tax credit. Yeah, because this is the end of it. Then she gets more into the Donald Trump and his Project 2025 agenda would raise costs and increase the racial wealth gap for Black men and their families, as if they closed the racial wealth gap. They did not close the racial wealth gap. They did nothing. How can you say that you're closing the racial wealth gap and American freedmen are being evicted at a 40% clip since 2022? If you were closing the gap, people would be able to afford to pay their rent. Some things do not require this expert breakdown. Some things just requires, this is 2 and this is 2 and that just equals 4. And that's it.
Can I add another piece?
Oh, yeah.
So, since we've been on the scene, we've been pushing information and education from a couple of sources, like several sources, key sources. Like we had like books that we introduced to viewership to, including From Here to Equality, Reparations, Black Americans in the 21st Century, Justice and Solidarity book, including The Bloody Shirt. I think it's Bojanski. We talked about the second founding with you got it, Naheem. What's his name?
Eric Foner.
Foner, yeah. And then we also talked about The Devil You Know with Charles Blow. We brought another key piece, and this is the one that a lot of people miss out on, but that's Back of the Hiring Line. So we've been talking about the deleterious effects, of America's immigration policy on American freedmen status, in America, social and economic status. We're talking about employment. We're talking about just resources. When you think about the budget of America, and they're talking about debt, and they're talking about inflation and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of pressure that's put on resource allocation nationally, but also on a local level, So if we're talking about quality of schools, if we're talking about all these different things, and I didn't see anything in here that talked about fixing any of that. So if you got a hole in your pocket, you need to sew up the hole first before you talking about trying to put some more money in. And that terrible immigration policy that's beating us down, that's when you have people and you making where we live sanctuary counties. You talk about resources for housing, and many cases those resources are being given to people who are not even citizens or maybe illegal aliens. You're talking about companies that have been getting popped for not only like illegal alien employment on the low skill, low end job market that a lot of our freedmen brothers and sisters are looking to stay employed in. But we also talking about on the higher end of the job spectrum with the H-1B visa. And Kamala has already been on record as being an advocate. She actually worked with Nikki Haley to try to get the H-1B visa cap removed. So I didn't see anything dealing with any of that on her policy. So when Trump comes out with a plan, I would hope that his has something very, very strong speaking to that. If it doesn't, then we see what time it is. But that's a huge gap and a huge flaw within Kamala's plan. It doesn't address any of the problems that we've been facing with the immigration policy or our economic status in America.
Indeed, yes, indeed, man. I think we're at a turning point in this country. Some may call it a revolution. My sister Sonny likes to call it a renaissance. I like renaissance. And I think for us, Martin Luther King Jr., when asked at a civil rights roundtable discussion about getting everybody on board, and our brother Ali brings this up all the time. Martin Luther King Jr. said, trying to get everybody on board is an impossible task. All you need is the creative few, the creative minority, to move things along. Our problem has been that the creative minority has been a buffer class for the Democratic Party. And our interests have been pushed to the back burner. And all of you think Roland Martin cares about what everyday freedmen go through? He doesn't. Roland Martin cares about driving content to his channel and ensuring that advertising dollars goes to his channel. And in turn, he will, like a sock puppet, repeat everything that his corporate masters of the Democratic Party want him to repeat. It's just as simple as that. They will attack anybody for the party. They attacked, Roland attacked Obama when he first came out and said we need an open primary. Obama was right. Obama knew what time it was. This may backfire, and this chick is an airhead. Let's call a thing a thing. She's an airhead. And we see that she can't hold an interview. That's why she doesn't really give interviews. Her response to everything is almost always the same, to the point where they're making jokes. They got little kids. They're like, did you do your homework this morning? Well, did you do your homework after school? Well, Dad, I grew up in the middle class. Like, these are the skits that are going around the internet right now, man. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. And people are making a mockery of her because people rejected her the first time. They didn't believe that she was a serious candidate. You have people like Charlemagne saying that I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden unless he picks a black woman. And then all of these people write this letter urging Joe Biden to pick a black woman. And they said, well, Kamala is close enough. She's been pretending to be black for the past 2 decades now. So let's pull her in. And that's exactly what they did. And they ignored her. Like, I could really go so deep into this. They ignored how unpopular she was. And you watch the Democratic machine. And I watched it when they pushed Bernie Sanders out, both elections. And he just, after every time they pushed him out, he just cucked for them even more. I'm backing the Hillary Clinton. I'm backing Donald Trump. Like, yo, they keep playing you, my guy. You don't have no backbone. It's the person that they keep electing in Vermont to go. Come on. They said the Bernie bros with brown shirts. These are talking points I bring up a lot because I want people to understand, they try to make it just seem like it's the New York Post and Fox News and the Rupert Murdoch owned media and all of the right wing. Oh man, it's the left wing too. They will put the machine against you. Bloomberg is coming in. Bloomberg was dropping bags everywhere he went. It was people pretending that they would stump for Bloomberg. Like, yes, yeah, write that check, Bloomberg. I got you. Give me these materials. Check went in one pocket. The materials went in the trash. This is what I was hearing. I don't know how true that is, but what we do know is that they brought the people on MSNBC especially to go at Bloomberg, and not even all of his billions could compete with the corporate Democrat machine. And they got him up out the paint. They brought on people like Gregory Meeks and all of these different people. He was at least saying, I messed up with stop and frisk. At the time we thought yada, 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 yada. He was at least trying to be contrite to some degree. You don't get that out of a lot of white politicians, especially these uber filthy rich ones. Oh, the corporatocracy said, I don't think Bloomberg stands for what we stand for. How can we control this billionaire? The Republicans can't control Trump. We don't want a Democratic version of Donald Trump on our hands. Let's get this guy up out the paint. We need people that we could control. We could control Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton is one of us. She helps write the laws of control, right? So we can back her. Jim Crow Joe Biden, a.k.a. Senator Credit Card, a.k.a. Senator MBNA, before Bank of America bought them out. And then that same corporate structure went and put all of their money behind a young senator out of Illinois and Barack Obama. Like, the history is clear. And we watched the DNC. And some of us got swept up in it. I know that I did at some point. I still side out a lot of stuff. But the more I learned and the more I observed, I was able to see that these people are running a game on us. And that this mainstream media is the problem. It's state-run TV on the right, it's state-run TV on the left. Let's call a thing. And the only voices of reason are here on the internet right now. My YouTube channel shows 33 live listeners. My Twitter X account has 401 live listeners. Why? Because YouTube has become a part of the corporate machine. They've censored a lot of people. They made it so that you can't express yourself. People just making up these new terms. You can't even say killed somebody on Twitter. You have to say unalived, right? On YouTube, I mean, you can't say killed somebody. It's just the report says, you reading it, it says he was killed around such and such time. The news report doesn't say that. Doesn't say unalived, but you got to say that on YouTube. So many things, and most of my videos don't get monetized. They just don't. They say we found that your content or whatever it says goes against our community guidelines. It was videos. It wasn't a curse word. It was just straight us breaking down what we break down. No crazy words at all. And of course, it goes against the community guidelines. But on X right now, I have 401 live viewers, right? So that shows and I'm not a fan of Elon Musk because he likes to share a lot of racist, tropey stuff. It's just as simple as that. And I know that he does it for engagement because that's a lot of the people that's on the platform, whether it's racist right-wing whites from South Africa, Australia, pick a European country, and the good old United States of America, that drives engagement on his site. So he understands that, well, look, this is a part of the business model. This is a part of the business model. More people getting blue checks, more money for me. I get to invest in my Neuralink projects and my Starlinks or whatever the hell else he got going on, the self-driving cars, the $5,000 portable homes, which I think is a great idea. I like those. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I think those are dope. But, you know, it is what it is. But I get to come on this platform, and every single time the numbers look just like this, Josh. There are 405 live listeners on 407 live listeners and viewers on X, and only 33 on YouTube. It's the censorship.
I wanted to bring up this point too. I don't know if you brought this up, but you know, when I look at that Kamala agenda, or you know what she's going to do, quote unquote, for black men, we already told you what to do. Like this administration has already been in power. That's the interesting part, right? This administration was already in power for the last 4 years or so. It's still in power now. So what are you waiting on? Like, you should do it now and say what you already have started or what you've already set in motion. You know, that's what you can do. Now you can say, well, she's not in the White House. Okay, Joe Biden is not really in the White House. He's not confident enough to run or do anything. So
that dude put the Trump 2024 hat on, bro.
So don't tell me she's not running the White House. And then the reason why I say you already know what to do is because United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen already submitted executive order templates. All they have to do is execute them. They don't even have to rewrite. They don't have to do anything. They already have them, and your administration already has copies of them, physical copies, digital copies. All you have to do is, you don't have to even think about what to do. You don't have to come up with a plan. All you have to do is hit OK on an email. Send an email out and say, put this in action right now. That's all you got to do. Courtesy of United Sons and Daughters of Freedom, we already put that in your administration's hands. So you don't have to come out with a plan. You already got the plan. Just execute it. But you won't do that. You won't do that. So like this kind of stuff, man, it's like, and I know the people that are like, see, now what they're going to say now. Well, last time I checked, I didn't see anywhere on there where she talking about we're going to close the wealth gap. You're talking about what Trump is not going to close the wealth gap. He's going to increase the wealth gap. But you don't say that you're going to decrease the wealth gap. And the way that you decrease the wealth gap, we're not talking about by $5 or $50 or $50,000. We're talking about trillions of dollars. That's what we're talking about. And if you're not talking about that, then you're not talking about any transformational change that's worth rolling the dice on 4 more years of, you know, what we've been getting, plus some promises or some policy that's probably going to be either all lives matter policy or attempted, feigning at attempting to do something specific for us, knowing it's going to get shut down by the Supreme Court. This is not it. And you don't have to think about, well, we don't know what we can do. We try to get creative. No, you don't. You just don't. Like Jill, I don't agree with Jill Stein's interpretation of a lot of the stuff, but at least she'll come out and say, Lord, no, I think y'all need to get trillions of dollars of reparations. I think you need to get $1 trillion of reparations. Like, that's already been declared. That's already known. You know, if you really wanted the freedom to vote like that, you would have committed to something like that. But that's not the case. So, I mean, let's not act like all of a sudden you come out with something and now we're supposed to jump up at it.
Yes, indeed.
Mind you, this is after the promises that have been made to every other group. So finally, at the 11th hour, now, oh shoot, the election's about to come in less than a month. We need to hurry up and throw a bone at these freedmen. You know, that is not even specifically at freedmen, at quote unquote black men. We need to go ahead and throw them something. I mean, what is it? The 14th? Man, we got 20 days. We got 20 days or 21 days. However, we need to hurry up and throw them something. Man, how does that even make you feel? You're not a group that gets, you know, as soon as they come out with their agenda, as soon as they come out with their announcing for their campaign, they already got something engaging you. No, it's like, oh, dang, well, I guess we might as well, we look at the polls and it says we've been dogging these black men the whole time and trying to shame them. We threw Obama at them last week. And man, we really in trouble now. All right, so we know we just had Obama go out there and completely disrespect y'all. We're gonna go ahead and try to whip y'all up something real quick. No, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. Go ahead, Naeem.
That's right. And they're seeing it. Like the backlash that Barack Obama has received the past few days has been epic. And for me personally, exceedingly refreshing. Again, I have a thread on Twitter where I'm calling this guy out. I mean, it's just, I love it. I love it, man. I love it. I love the response. People are tired. Our people especially are tired of this, and we have to be careful that we're not letting people jump in front of us, because this is what tends to happen all the time. There will be a coalition of people moving forward, and everybody wants to lead that coalition. Those with the resources are going to be propped up in front of us. Those of us who are serious about it, we are going to fight those people because we already know what that looks like. And you know what, Josh? And I say this all the time, and I don't know if I say this enough on the actual channel more than I say in the Twitter space. I've had more meaningful builds with Republicans or conservatives, let me say, even Republicans, than I've had with Democrats. I mean, I've actually built rapport with a lot of people on the right that do not follow the right's path, if you will. They more so, they hold certain things that I may disagree with, and I'm pretty certain I hold certain positions that they disagree with as well. But our points of conversion are so similar that we're able to form what Sister Sunny, again, bringing her up, calls voluntary association. And that's good right there. To whereas, let's say, you know what, I'm going to rock with this person. I like what this person does. I was in the space yesterday that they were in, and the brother that was hosting the space, I was looking at some of his threads today. I was like, but he was saying, he was like, he gave me a shout out. He was like, another brother, that I rock with, Brother Naeem. I see you in the audience. I was like, I never heard of the brother before. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. And I sent, I followed the brother. He wasn't following me. I followed him. And the reason why we get that is because of that voluntary association where people are connecting with other people. Everybody on the Democratic side of it they just ops. They come in as ops. They come in yelling and screaming and trying to be disrespectful. I can't remember a meaningful discourse that I've had with somebody that represents the Democrats or a liberal position. I just can't. Even the debate that I had with Jabari on Sarnetta's channel, I mean, the dude was taking all type of subtle ad hominem shots until he started like really losing the debate that I didn't even know was going to be a debate. And then he just straight up started calling me MAGA and got mad when I called him a liberal. So I think we're witnessing a party realignment in front of our eyes. And the fact that we're here for it, bro, is great. Because like I said earlier, this country runs off of a model. And that model starts with the slaveocracy. That slaveocracy builds up after Bacon's rebellion, where the proletariat class, they were all rocking with each other. It didn't matter what your race was. Not saying there wasn't no racism in this land at the time, because it wasn't a country when Bacon's rebellion took place. But that planter class of the South, that bourgeoisie class, they were the ones that decided that they were going to include lower class European Americans into the fabric of this new racial identity of whiteness. And that turned the tides. And this is why we have what we have right now. And that corporatocracy, that slavocracy, which was run by the then oligarchs, because that was the planter class, became the modern day oligarchs, right? They become your Rockefellers, your name a couple of them. I can't think. Carnegie's, there's a few other names I can't think of. Y'all seen that series, The Men Who Built America? They become those men, so much so that America has to do antitrust laws, and they did nothing but got around that, right? Vanderbilt, those people that own the oil industry, I think that was Rockefeller. He just broke his oil empire up into like 30 smaller oil businesses and still controlled all of it. But that comes from something. And that comes from the slavocracy. And now everybody gets a chance to feel that. When 50 Cent says why people are, he's asked the question, why people are voting for Trump. And, 50 says something along the lines of, because Black people know what it's like to be unjustly targeted. You got to understand that's a political statement, number one. That's a political statement. And 50 is not a politician, but he gets it and he understands that people are looking at this thing and saying, yo, wait a minute. They did this to us. Trump was even a part of that with the Central Park Five and taking out that ad. He was a part of the media machine that went at these young 5 innocent brothers that did not rape that girl. He was a part of that. And these were all Democrats in the city of New York. And I don't say that to make it a party thing, because y'all know we're not Republicans. If anything, I call myself a Reconstruction Republican, because that's the sentiment of Republicanism that I hold, that Frederick Douglass, Prince Rivers, Joseph Rainey Republicanism. That Blanche Bruce, Hiram Revels Republicanism, that pinchback Republicanism, not this, what we're looking at today. And that many of them Republicans are against Trump, ironically. They're joining the Democrats, it seems like, to support Kamala. We are witnessing another party realignment. For us, we have to get in where we fit in that. And what we represent is a people's movement. The difference is some of us are out the hood, and we like to kick ass and take names and then rip the paper up afterwards. It's just as simple as that. We're not the people that can ever be bought and sold, ever. You hear people rambling on Twitter Spaces, nobodies that'll never do anything remotely needle moving for our people, pushing crazy ideologies. Those people are relevant at the end of the day. They're white noise taking up space, and that's it. Those of us that know who we are and know what we represent, we stand on that 10 toes down, and our track record is there. And can't nobody prove otherwise. They just can't. And so we're going to keep pushing, and we're going to keep building this people's movement. And when our people that's in the corporate world come to us and say, I want to get with what you're doing, we are going to still set the ground rules and say, yes, but this is how it's going to go. This is how it's going to go. So, Josh, man, you got any words before we start winding this thing down and get up out of here? We've been on here for a nice little minute. We got 423 people watching from X. Of course, our YouTube numbers is always low because of the censorship, but let's start winding this thing down. What you got to share with the fan?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot, man. Just, this is the time where it's desperation, from all the different sides. So, I mean, usually when people are in a situation of desperation, they may put out anything. They start saying anything, and then they don't expect you to hold them to that. Like for what she's talking about, how would we be able to hold her to that? Like who would be able to who would we be able to look to make sure it's in power? That would be
Nobody.
yeah, yeah.
Wait,
So
real
that's
quick,
that.
Josh. What did they say? Oh, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans tied Obama's hands. Well, what about the first 2 years when y'all controlled both? I mean, excuse me, all three branches of government. Your hands were untied. Your hands were freed. Obama made 101 million new millionaires, mostly white. So while the people on the ground could run with the law, Obama was the caused the race. These people crazy. The racial divisions in this country. People like Sean Hannity was eating off of those Obama policies. I think I seen something a few years ago that said Hannity made like $41 million off of the policies that Obama implemented. They called quantitative easing. Nonsense. 101 million new millionaires, bro. I'm just saying, man. And people didn't see that. They just saw race. And the Republicans played the shell game. They kept the racist stuff going. And on the backside of that, Bannon said it in that video. He said in that interview, he said, if you owned anything, you had the greatest 10-year run, meaning starting under Obama, those 8 years and them first 2 years under Trump. You had the greatest 10-year run. That's a fact. That's a fact. So I'm just saying, man. My bad, y'all. Cut your wisdom. I know you was
No,
trying to give you, but I had to interject right there.
no. I mean that's good. I mean, I don't really have anything else to add to this. I just want to say, at the end of the day, this time period is going to come, and a month from now, it's going to be over. And then what, right? Then what? The people that you're arguing with, you're not going to be arguing with no more because it's going to be over. So then what are you going to do when the election is decided and whatever they didn't promise, now they're not even going to be in power, but soon enough they'll be in power to hold them to it. Then what? We still not going to be in a position of leverage. We still not going to be in a position. Vast majority of freedmen still not going to be in the South. Still not going to be able to have properly elected governors, senators, and Congress members. Still not going to be able to change any of the reverse any of the gerrymandering, ill effects. We're not going to be able to do anything about that still. So that's really what the work that needs to be done is, and that should be a part of an agenda. On our website we have on there, we're pushing for repatriation. We need resources to help us repatriate, not to no foreign ancestral land for some centuries ago. We're talking about to the southern states of origin. So we need resources to help us do that. That's for our political, social, economic survival, and that's what we need to be about moving forward. Peace.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, family, we're at the point where we're winding it down. Man, we have movement. We have movement. We're going to keep moving. We're going to keep dissecting this stuff, and we're going to force these people to come to us. We're going to force them to come to us and bend the knee, if you will, because we're not going to ever bend the knee to these people. We've put too much blood, sweat, tears, and equity into this country to have this country turn around and say the American dream is for everybody except you. And when we complain about the things that we have a right to complain about, I mean, in the First Amendment, it says, again, I want to repeat that the citizenry has the right to petition this government for a redress of grievances. A grievance is a complaint. Don't tell me to stop complaining when my people are still at the bottom of the barrel. And when we try to exercise our constitutional rights, our First Amendment right, see, they always talk about freedom of the press or the Second Amendment right. But when I say petition this government for a redress of grievances, they forget, they get stupid on that part while giving away the house to everybody else. Just know you can't get nothing. Negroes, you can't get anything. Yeah, we don't want the money going to Ukraine and Israel and the illegal immigrants, but we definitely don't want you to get anything, even though the money is going to Ukraine, Israel, and the illegal immigrants. These people are crazy. These people are crazy to me, and this is a part of this American life. If you unscramble the word America, it reads, I am race. Put it in the anagram and you'll see exactly what I mean. Put I am race in the anagram and it's going to come. America is going to be probably the number one word. So, and that's what we're left to deal with. That's why race is an issue in this topic. Is Kamala Harris black? She's not. She's a mixed Indian and Irish woman, that Irish Jamaican, and that Irish Jamaican is not quote unquote black Jamaican. It's just not. Not saying that there's not some in there somewhere down the line. There may be, but there's none that's visible, which means that you can't just use the one drop rule and call her black. Because if that's the case, then Obama's children is white. Let's just call then that means that Obama's children are not two little black girls, they're two little white girls due to his white mother, their white grandmother. Like, let's just call a thing if that's what we're doing, if we're playing the race game. The other side of the race game is that Trump is a racist and that we shouldn't vote for him. Our last live stream that we did, we examined that claim. Is Donald Trump a racist? And we concluded that he wasn't, based on, at least I did, based on what is a racist. A racist does nothing for, especially black people. They hate them. They would try to kill them if they could get away with it. They would do they would never ever try to help a black person if they were racist in no way, shape, form, or fashion. There's no praising Oprah Winfrey. If you were to run for president, who would be your running mate? Oprah Winfrey is what Trump said. Like, this is not me defending Trump. This is me analyzing the claims from the Jesse Jackson, the Michael Jackson, pulling up at the G Unit studio. We played all of that in the last video. Go check it out on our Be the Power YouTube channel. Like, so now I gotta believe that Trump is a racist after providing all the evidence that he can't possibly be, based on the definition of racist and the definition or the history of racism in this country. We know that history and we know what racism looks and sounds like. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have some racism or maybe even some bigotry in him. I don't know. Like my sister Antonia said, he may just be a classist. He may just be a classist. But insofar as what the true definition of racism means, I couldn't make that conclusion. So you can't use that as a scare tactic for me. Let's now weigh policy positions, being that I can see through that facade and I can determine based on what those policy, and we did the side-by-side analysis of Agenda 47 with Kamala's plan when she first released it. And Kamala's plan sucks. And there were things that were in Agenda 47 that I disagreed with. And I'm not saying I'm voting for Trump. I've not made that decision yet. I may leave the top of the ticket open. But what I will tell you, almost everybody that I know personally. Almost everybody that I know personally said they're voting for Trump. Just saying. Just saying. So, hey, fam, until we do the next video, man, shout out, like I said, if you're in the New England area, pop out to the debate in Boston this Saturday, man. We're going to be doing it up. We're going to be doing a mix at the mix. You know, we're going to talk and have a Q&A and give some food to the community, et cetera, et cetera. Come through, slide through. We're here trying to build something. I don't care about what the haters say. Haters going to hate. It is what it is. But for those of us that are making moves, we're here. We're here. We ain't going nowhere. Like Bernie Mac said, I ain't scared of none of you motherfuckers. Straight like that. So with that said, man, we're going to end this live stream. I'll leave you all with the motto of our platform, which is, don't just fight the power. Don't just fight the power. Become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.
We'll be right back.